And right now, the Rockets are better than them. Like, just listen, right now the Rockets played 41 games with their best three players, Harden, CP3, and Clint Capella. They are 39-2 in those games. To beat the Rockets in a series, you're going to have to beat them 4 times. Assuming those top 3 guys are playing, you're going to have to do something in a 7-game stretch that has not been done, it's been done half as many times in a 41-game stretch. But what this tells me, because this was shocking to me, that I saw that the general Vegas sportsbook consensus now is Rockets-Warriors, even odds. Depending on where you shop the line, it could be a little different, but basically even odds. What this tells me is Vegas thinks what Cris Broussard thinks is the case, what Chris Carter thinks is the case, and what I have dismissed as a possibility, that the Warriors could possibly got in the first round. They are baking that into the number, that the Warriors, without Steph Curry in the first round, that the Rockets might not have to beat them. Because what the doctors are telling is that Steph should be fully healthy come round 3 of the playoffs. We know that Durant and Clay and Draymond Green, those injuries are not ones you're worried about a month from now. I don't even think they're really worried about those injuries right now. Clay is back. I mean, their guys are back. What this is telling me is, because I do think if the Rockets and the Warriors face in the Western Conference Finals, Vegas would say the Warriors are favorites whether they should be or not. Vegas thinks, the public thinks, that the Warriors are vulnerable in round 1. That a series for them without Steph Curry, even with a healthy Kevin Durant, even with the rest of their roster, that they could lose in round 1, and they don't think that about Houston, and that's fascinating to me.
I'm surprised for a different reason. I'm surprised that Houston is not the favorite more so than Golden State.
Wow.
I don't think that they should be even money. I know that Vegas is giving the respect to the Warriors, but Houston has been more consistent. Steph is out with an MCL. This is week number 2, and he could be out as much as 6 weeks. So for me, even if he does come back, I know he's not going to be 100%. Now, when the doctor tells you come back between 2 and 6 weeks, he's talking about for a normal person.
Right.
A normal person, 2 to 6 weeks. He's not saying for you to be playing championship basketball, to be in a highly contested sporting event. No, that is not baked in there. So I think Houston should be the favorite over Golden State. I don't think their odds should be even.
Cece, do you think that Steph, whenever he comes back, is not that he's not going to be back to 100% this season? Is that correct?
There's no one else we've seen with the MCL. KD talked about it. Steph, when he had it last time, that first week to 10 days, they are not healthy. Like, they are struggling. We're talking about the competition, the intensity of playoff basketball. Let's not lose sight of that. KD was out 6 weeks, and they'll tell you, they did not come back healthy. Why would we think Steph would come back healthy? Like, this is not a matter of, oh, this guy's a fast healer. We're talking about a ligament to your knee, the MCL.
Right.
So I do believe he will be hampered throughout the playoffs.
I have a question. If at the beginning of this season we said the Warriors, coming off the last couple of years that they've had, we're going to go into the playoffs without Steph Curry, is there any doubt that they'd still be as dominant?
Well, as dominant, they wouldn't be as dominant. But I think if in game 1 of this year, Steph Curry blew his ACL.
And he was out.
And he was out for the year. I think going into game 2, the Warriors still would have been the Vegas favorites. But that was before we knew what we know about Houston. Like, the other part of this is how great Houston has been.
Yeah, I think it'd be a little bit different because you have the whole season develop a different style for Golden State.
Right.
So it's hard to make that comparison because he is coming back, and they would be a different team.
So your hesitation about the Warriors is not so much that Steph's not in it, is that whole offense runs around Steph Curry, and they don't have enough time right now to game plan an entirely new offense if you don't think he's going to be 100%.
None of the teams, the top 2 teams in the East, the top 2 teams in the West, none of those teams can afford to lose a starter, let alone someone like Steph Curry. Like, I think that we're just losing sight of how good these players are. Steph's not healthy. Wow, that's going to drastically affect the Warriors. Harden, if he wasn't healthy, it would drastically affect Houston.
But the reason that people feel differently about the Warriors is none of those other teams, and in fact no other team in the history of the league, has as their second option an MVP.
It doesn't matter. In this, it's still not enough talent to win a championship. That's the reason why they went out and got KD.
I agreed, which is why if we knew Steph was out for the year, out for the playoffs, this would not surprise me. But the fact that people are now wondering, is it enough talent to even get to the conference finals? Do you need a fully healthy Steph Curry to get through rounds 1 and rounds 2? That's crazy to me.
I just think we shouldn't analyze, oh, they have 4 All-Stars, they have Hall of Famers. I don't believe that. When you have someone who runs the team, if Chris Paul was not available, what would we think Houston's chances were? They got no chance. All right, so how will we be able to lose the point guard, Damian Lillard? They got no chance. They might not have a chance with Damian Lillard, but you lose the guy who runs your offense, the most prolific offense that we have seen, especially in this 4-year window that they played. They don't have enough time to adjust to that.
More important for the Raptors because all of a sudden that 1 seed could go away. They've lost 4 of 7. They had the brutal loss to Cleveland that I think shook a lot of people's confidence in was this going to be the same old Raptors, or was this going to be a new version of the Raptors that could actually compete with Cleveland in the postseason? And now all of a sudden with a red-hot Boston team that's winning without Kyrie Irving, winning without Marcus Smart, they lost to Boston in their most recent game. They play Cleveland tonight, and then on a back-to-back play Boston again. They could be in 36 hours the 2 seed in the East. They don't want to be the 2 seed in the East. They don't want to have to face Cleveland potentially in round 2 of the playoffs. So Cleveland, if George Hill plays, it will be, and if Kyle Korver's back, we don't know if he will be or not, it could be theoretically their first game all season with the lineup they will go into the playoffs with. So in that regard, it's important to see how Cleveland looks and if they can finally get, a handful of games under their belt with what their actual rotation will be. But for the Raptors, if all of a sudden you lose the 1 seed to a Boston team playing without Kyrie Irving, that's problematic for any chances they have in the postseason.
You make a great case for it being more important for the Raptors. I'm just going to go on the other side just so we can talk about it. The guys who haven't been with LeBron, you talked about the lack of people being familiar, the lack of having everyone that's going to be on the roster healthy and in a basketball uniform. What if they defeat the Raptors again by an unquestionable margin? How much confidence do these guys who don't have playoff experience, because going into the playoffs, we're like, man, Jordan Clarkson, how's he going to do? Larry Nance Jr., how's he going to do?
Yep.
Last time they played Toronto, that was their first time with LeBron, them playing. So in the locker room, JR knows. Kevin Love, he knows. Tristan Thompson, he knows what LeBron can do to these teams in the East.
But nobody
these
else
new
does.
Guys, until they put their eyeballs on it and been like, wow, these guys, man, we do have an advantage with LeBron. And that's the one thing that in getting to know Shane Battier and getting to know Dwayne Wade and Ray Allen when they were in Miami, this is something that they thought, but they never knew until they got on the court with LeBron, the overall effect LeBron has on the opposition. So I believe it's just as important for the Cavs and these new guys to have success against the team that has the number 1 seed in the East.
And you bring up an interesting point with the new guys, because you also have to keep in mind where the new guys came from. Rodney Hood, Larry Nance, Jordan Clarkson, all 3 of those guys had played their entire careers in the West. So it's not even like they got to experience the other side of it, like that they dealt with LeBron. When the Cavs picked up Kyle Korver at the deadline last year, Korver hadn't played with LeBron, but he'd gotten whooped by LeBron in the conference finals.
It would be like all these guys have been in the West, but LeBron had kryptonite for Golden State. But these guys had been in the East. They had never seen it before. They're like, man, Golden State's been killing everyone. So now they come to the East. LeBron has that same effect, and I just believe it has an effect on them. They don't have the playoff experience with LeBron, but the more games you can play in it like this, they bring you closer to what the intensity will be like in the playoffs.
I think looking at the Eastern Conference now with a handful of games left, I don't seem to care that much that they still have to get George Hill and Kyle Korver back and they have to figure out a way to play. Maybe it doesn't matter because LeBron James has single-handedly taken this team on his back to where they are right now, to the point where no one's really sure who could be 1 or 2 when this ends in the East, where the Cavs could very well be in the driver's seat without even have their starting rotation implanted in place heading into the postseason.
Well, Jenna, one day it will matter. Even with LeBron getting monster numbers in the playoff, it matters. LeBron, say he has a stat line of 35, 12, and 9. Where do they get these other 55 points from? These guys and whoever is the third scorer, we know what we're going to get from Kevin Love. But it's important who that third guy is. Is it going to be Rodney Hood? Do we have to wait for Clarkson to come off the bench to be able to get it going? Yeah. George Hill, is he going to be strong? Kyle Korver, will he be a liability defensively? So, right now it might not look, man, they're just storylines. But come playoffs, LeBron needs some help. And who are these characters? It becomes important to be able to start identifying them.
To CeCe's point, one of the last times LeBron didn't make the NBA Finals, when the Cavs got knocked out with a supporting cast that is similar to this one, got knocked out by the Orlando Magic. LeBron in that series averaged 39, 8, and 8. 39, 8, and 8 for a series, and they lost in 6 games and would have lost in 5 if LeBron didn't hit a buzzer-beating 3 to win Game 2. So, like, there is precedent, granted it was a decade ago, of LeBron being brilliant and his team getting knocked out. I don't think there's a team in the East this year as good as that Orlando team was. But one other thing to watch for in tonight's game. LeBron is talking more this year, more recently than I've ever heard him talk. I'm the MVP. I should be the MVP. Now, everyone at this table has said it's James Harden. I believe it should be James Harden. LeBron understands what these 3 games are: Toronto, Washington, Philly. He also understands that the Cavs, if they go 5-0 to finish the year, will somehow finish with more wins this year than they had last year when there was no turmoil, when they had Kyrie Irving. I think you're going to see the closest thing to playoff LeBron in the regular season that you could see tonight and down the stretch, and that'll give you a better idea of how good this team is against good competition when LeBron's firing on all cylinders.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.